All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Tavern. This week we're going to be talking about assembling your team, or
Assemble your party.
assemble your party. Yeah.
I'm so excited about that title.
As we've mentioned several times, we've played with many different groups in many different places, but we haven't talked about like how those groups formed. So
The
we're
Avengers.
Yeah. Like somebody knows somebody else, and then there's this random hobo who walks in.
And we're like, pull up a chair, here's a D20. I know for me, my first campaign was with you and with like that group of friends. Someone I was dating at the time was like, oh, my friends are starting this campaign. Do you want to join? I said, no, that sounds terrifying. I don't know how to play that game. I don't know these people. But then I went anyway, and I had a grand old time. So how did you stumble upon your first
So my
campaign?
first D&D campaign started my first year here in Monterey when I was going to college, and this strange dude across the hall invited me to, well, not so much invited, we got to talking, and we decided we wanted to try to play D&D, and there was this other strange dude who lived in the dorm right next door to me, who was, we like him a lot, he's just not a great roommate. He was
I
very
wouldn't know.
interesting.
He was delightful to me.
Yeah. But we basically kind of just ended up kidnapping him for our first D&D campaign.
He was like in proximity in the dorm, so you're
Yeah.
like, join us.
Yeah, and then we played our first game, and then we somehow, not coerced, but we somehow grabbed the attention of our RA, which is not always the best idea, but in this respect she was amazing, and she helped us start our first campaign. So it was him, me, strange kid next door, and our amazing RA, and then we just kind of went
we
from
grew
there.
from there.
Yeah.
Because we would play in the lobby. We wouldn't play in one of our rooms. We'd play in the lobby of the dorm building. And so
Socializing.
people would walk in and out and like see what we're doing, and then slowly like people joined from there. So that was fun.
Yeah.
That's why I want us, we have this like patio downstairs for our apartment complex. It's like the communal patio. You can go and hang out on like a nice sunny day. And we're always like, let's go play board games. But now there's that kid that lives in the apartment complex.
Right.
I don't want him anywhere near
We
us.
can't go play D&D down there anymore because all the kids hang out there.
Oh,
But
How
it's
dare
fun
they.
to like get your friends together and play in like
Right?
neat places. I've played at like Panera Bread before.
Those kids can rollerblade somewhere else.
down the street, down a murder hill.
How did you stumble
It's true,
upon
we
your
live
first
on a very
campaign?
steep hill. That's like the only safe place for them to play.
Let them learn.
My first one was in high school. I can't even remember like what got the initial thing. I know Kevin Hefner got the books for like his birthday or Christmas or something. So he would bring them to class. He would bring the 4th edition books, and this was right when 4th edition first came out. And he would bring them to class and just be reading them. And then like we were just like, what are you reading? You know, what are these giant books that you're just reading in the middle of class?
What's this? Dungeons
Right.
and Dragons.
And so after he'd like read the player's handbook and the DM guide, he was like, okay,
I'm ready.
Yeah, like I want to
Yeah.
do this. Like, who wants to play? And so like Travis and I and the other people in the group were like, yeah, sure. We have no idea what this is, and so we just showed up to his house one day and rolled characters by hand, and then played, and then it just went on from there. And then when Travis started his campaign a few years later, that was kind of like picking up the remnants of that original group, whoever was still around, and then adding, new people at that time because it was
Exceptional
years
MVP.
later. So yeah, and then the dorms just knocking on the door, being like, "Hey, do you want to play?" And
I love
then
it.
Do you want to play a dragon?
No.
and it's kind of interesting because since then, at least for me, every next campaign has always had at least one other player from the previous group. So like I had my original group, and then it went on to Travis's group, but it was still Travis and Brad, and then it went to, I guess the biggest exception was going to the dorms, but then we got, Senia played with us.
Yeah.
So that was at least one person, and then we went on to East Campus, but then it was still you and Travis again, and then, Alex and everybody that jumped over to that one, and then going to the Hawthorne one, it was like we added Miguel and we added Megan, but it was still like you and me and Travis, and then now we're here and we're
And
going
I
to
just
start playing
spontaneously
again.
sprinkle myself in
Right.
whenever
Yes.
I show
You would
up.
show up for like the one-off sessions and just play
Yeah.
characters throughout ongoing things, but then
Okay.
now we're here, and then the next one that we're going to start soon, hopefully next week for her
Okay.
birthday, something like that.
Ooh.
We haven't talked about it. We'll talk about it after this, but
Spoilers.
You guys don't need to know.
Spoilers.
Tell me
We'll
happy
be-
birthday in the comments.
will be her campaign. So then, like, we also kind of
Yeah.
all swap DM hats too.
I was gonna say, I've had to like gather my party for DMing a couple of other times in the past as well, where I didn't have any of you guys, like my original group or the people that I usually play with. And I was like, oh, but I want to like try my hand at DMing, which I had done with you guys once before, but it went horribly wrong. And I was like,
I had fun.
Horribly wrong.
it went horribly wrong in my mind, and that's why it was a one-off. But now this time I'm like, I'm so ready, I'm prepared. But I had done like kind of like a test run of this campaign that I'm going to be running for you guys on another smaller group of other friends who like we've been friends for a good long time now, but I sort of just offhandedly like was like, oh yeah, this D&D, am I right? I'm a nerd. And then they're like, oh yeah, D&D. I was like, oh my gosh.
A lot more people play it
Yeah.
than you realize. Like, a lot of people play
Right?
it.
It's really nice to kind of find like that it's so popular and widespread community and things like that. It makes me happy.
Sure.
I know that my mom said growing up, she's like, oh, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, one of the first times I went over to play our first sessions. I was like, I'm gonna go play this new cool game, Dungeons and Dragons, and she's like, oh my god, back in like the 80s, my cousins Scott and William played that in the fucking basement. I was like, yes,
The dream.
family legacy. So you can always find players.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of how you wrangle them
Yeah.
into your group.
So I guess we've never reached out to total strangers.
No,
No.
like it's
We've-
always been like if
Put a
there's
bulletin on like a
Yeah.
community board or something.
like it's
which
kind
is
of been
totally
like
a
strangers
thing.
as in people we don't know quite well yet, but it's always something like from work or from school.
Right.
whatnot.
Yeah,
Or,
like,
one of the
you know.
players knows someone. Like
Mhm.
you don't necessarily know them, but
Right.
you know
One-
someone
one
who
of my-
knows someone.
one of my coworkers is going to be joining for the next session, and like that'll be his first time playing. But like I know him from work at least, you know, for the last few months, and so we've never done like because I know you go to like you know Mythic Gaming downtown. There's
Oh, yeah.
always like players wanted. Like I want to run a campaign, but I have no friends to do it with, you know. And I'm always like, I don't really want to just be like yeah and show up and be a
Right.
player.
What if you hate them?
And I never show up again, and
I
I
don't
make
know.
sure everyone's dead at
I
the
feel
end
like
of the
at
session.
some point we should try that, but
You
we've
turn on the party.
Right. And then thankfully we've always had enough people willing to play in our local friends group that we've never had to really like reach out and advertise in that way. Like
Yeah.
we've never put up the flyers like player wanted. So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. But that's definitely
totally valid.
that's
though.
definitely a way that a lot of people play because every
Yeah.
time you go to those shops and stuff they have those flyers. It's usually for like Pathfinder, but still
Yeah.
like there's always
I've played
people
Pathfinder though, and
asking.
there's also that for sort of like the online version for like Roll20, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They try and get people to come in like online, essentially bulletin boards are like, I'm starting this campaign, Roll20, like join this group. And that's pretty rad too.
See,
so like
doing it online, I think I'd be more willing to just join a rando group.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can still sit at my home at my computer with my snacks
And be comfortable.
and make my character, and then I'm just interacting in terms of the game. It's like when you play any online game,
Yeah.
you're interacting as the player. You don't really. It doesn't matter who the people are. You're doing
playing a
it
game.
as your character.
Well,
But
some people are terrible.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
yes, but it's a lot
just don't
different
go
than
there.
being like I have to go to this guy's house on this
Yeah.
day at this time for
That's a little bit intense. That
Stranger
could be a
Things is
murder
a little
plot.
hard.
right.
You can't roll dice to get out of that encounter.
No, not
No.
will save you.
But yeah, I think it's totally valid, and the people that do put those like bulletins out there, like players wanted, are so brave in my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you are so like
Right.
confident and ready to run this game.
Right,
You're
if you're
like,
the DM
anybody
reaching
can
out.
play.
Oh,
yeah.
And I'm like, heck yeah,
That means that you think you're like set in stone.
I'm like
with
ready.
the campaign you want to run.
And then
And no, that's me. If I were to do it, I'm like,
Right.
I'm ready. I can do this. Oh god.
But then again, I feel like there's the potential that playing with strangers, the people that show up mean that they want to play.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And you're strangers, so there's going to be that like semi like formal respect because sometimes playing with friends is the worst because you're comfortable with each other, so they
You tangentialize all the time.
they're okay ruining everything.
Yeah.
But like,
It's true. I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
but if you're like, oh, I don't know this guy, and like this is his house or whatever, like I'm gonna be a good player and a good
Yeah.
guest.
Yes, hello,
So-
nice to meet you. I'm here to play Dungeons and
Right.
Dragons.
So like, I feel like maybe that could work really well.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm not sure
So like
how
a
much
weird respect level.
I haven't had too many like experiences with like inner group turmoil in terms of like if everyone's friends or everyone knows each other. Sometimes that can get a little complicated. Like some people are only here for one friend, and if they don't come, that person doesn't come either. Or
Yeah.
like people are dating and then people are not dating, and that's a problem.
Now we can't play anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fine.
that's always something as well when you're playing with
Dating
like a
and
very
dragons. Am I
close
right?
knit group.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're approaching our camera limit here. So,
To break the fourth wall a little bit.
right.
Cameras.
So
I
tell
don't
us how you joined your party, how you gathered your party, how you created your party. In the comments below.
Also,
Yes.
tell her happy birthday.
That's
You
not my birthday
better.
yet, though.
No, but by the time we release the next episode, oh no, the next episode will come out
It
on
will
your
be
birthday.
my birthday,
Okay,
so
never mind.
that time.
Next week.
Until then,
Yes.
don't say shit.
Thanks for watching,
Every
everyone.
comment.
Bye.